Yitzchok Adlerstein is an Orthodox rabbi and the director of interfaith affairs at the Wiesenthal Center. And he says that when people of differing beliefs cooperate, everyone benefits.
Rabbi Yitzchok Adlerstein has never been one to keep silent, whether he's standing up for the rights of religious people or expressing his views on politics. He teaches others that talking about religion helps people from all belief systems, and shares how people of different faiths can cross boundaries and work together.
Rabbi Yitzchok Adlerstein is here with us now, and we welcome you to the 700 Club.
It's great to be back.
You say that the interfaith relationship between Christians and Jews is one of the most significant. Why?
Well, there's nothing like the power of faith. There are lots of good things that are happening in the world, but we see so often that there is something about people who feel commanded by God, not just encouraged.
Yeah.
When you can harness that energy, you can get things done. And there's been this great spirit of cooperation within the last couple of decades of people realizing that the big enemy today is godlessness and pushing God out of society.
Yeah.
Much greater than any differences, which are significant between our faiths.
You know, we do. You've mentioned it, and it's so true. We've even seen it some in the news today with the Supreme Court decision that decisions of faith that are held near and dear to the hearts of people, as you said, when God speaks, what else are you going to do? You know, but you know, we live in a culture where that seems to be waning, and where things that defined who we are and how we live are being thrown out the window as though they don't matter. And you say that we can learn from the Jewish people with regard to being a cultural minority, which is kind of what's happening to Christians today.
I think it's not kind of. It certainly has, even if in the last couple of years. And the mood, the culture, even legislation has moved against the idea of any kind of firm belief. So I think the first thing that Christians have to know is that becoming a minority is not what we asked for, but it's not the end of the world. Sometimes you can thrive even better as a minority because you don't take yourself for granted. You don't expect that your children are naturally going to grow into the faith of the surround, because it's no longer the faith of the surround. You have to think more focusedly about why you believe what you do and why it's better than anything around, and take that out to your kids, your family, and to the world. So
that we live and parent more deliberately, maybe, because of all of that. Recently, American Jews and Christians celebrated the recognition of the capital of Israel finally being moved to its rightful place. How significant was that?
I think it was hugely significant. It didn't change anything. It didn't change the prospects of peace. Anyone who couldn't come to grips with the idea that Israel is supposed to be the land of the Jewish people, that we have a stake in it, although many people have denied it, they're not people we can negotiate with. So the president did the right thing. I would walk 20 miles for the opportunity to do what I'm doing now, to thank the Christian community for the support. We know it was 90% Christians and 10% Jewish support that made that change happen.
It's so interesting to me that every other nation in the world gets to say where their capital is going to be, and it just is accepted. Why do you think it took so long to move the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem?
Well, part of the reason is that much of the world has gone well beyond what you're saying and saying nations shouldn't exist. Who cares if other people have countries? There should be no borders. Let's erase all borders. Let's erase all laws. Because laws ultimately remind us that there's a lawgiver, and it's much more convenient to pretend that we can build a new world order in which there are no givens. And that means that there's no God either. So that's part of it. Classic anti-Semitism certainly has a lot to do with it, and a fear of the Arab world and terrorism. That, you know, if you tell them what they want to hear, maybe they won't bother us so much. So Jews are still a small people. We have far less importance and power than people think that we do.
Recently, you made a decision to make Aliyah from California, I believe, to Israel. What went into your decision to do that, and what was the experience like?
Oh, it's been so great, beyond anything we could ever have dreamed of. It's something that I wanted to do for a long time. Look, I am first generation after the Holocaust. My mother got out of a concentration camp in southern France, one of the first concentration camps. The day after she got out, the rules of the camp changed, and everyone from that day on went to Auschwitz, to an extermination camp. So talk about there, but by the grace of God, go I. I'm conscious of Jewish vulnerability. I'm conscious of what the state of Israel is, of the centrality of Israel in Jewish thought. Israel figures in the Bible from the first line to the end. I know it's something difficult sometimes for Christians to comprehend, the idea of holiness being centered in time, in a place, in a person, but that's something very much part of Judaism. There is a holiness that I feel in the streets of Jerusalem, besides a feeling of belongingness that I've never felt in my life.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been there many times, and on Friday evening, as Shabbat is coming, Friday late afternoon, and there's just a sense of preparation for anticipation of worship of God. I mean, it's in the air.
Yes, I'm going to ask you that the next time you're over and you feel that on a Friday evening, the next stop on that Friday evening is going to be my home, where
it's a deal.
You'll join us. Great. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah. I understand that there's last, I just want to ask you, a move in Judaism toward orthodoxy. I mean, there's always been the Orthodox faction, if you will, but there were other more lenient, I guess you would say, factions. Why the move toward orthodoxy, do you think?
For the same reason why liberal denominations in Christianity are dying out, because it doesn't have the stuff to hold people. People want connection with God. God makes demands of us. God has absolutes. God does communicate with us. Orthodoxy was supposed to disappear. The opposite happened. The other movements are gradually disappearing, and the authentic is coming back. We are going to be the majority.
Yes. So good to have you here. Thank you so much. Love what you do.